Oh, since Disney is going to drop a new Star Wars movie every year until forever down, I decided, shoot, I'll just make a Star Wars movie review every year. Because, why not? Why not? Now, I actually saw Rogue One a couple of weeks ago and just didn't have the time to put videos together because I was planning out my video making schedule, but here I am, chatting about Rogue One finally. And I have a couple of thoughts on Rogue One. And I guess, there's going to be spoilers here, because I would imagine after this point you people would have seen the movie by now. This is a retroactive review. It's not about whether or not you should or shouldn't watch it. It's about, you watched it, let's discuss it and figure out how we can make things better. Which I think kind of implies how I feel about the movie in general. I mean, overall, I guess I'll get this review out of the way first so you guys can feel alright. Overall, Star Wars, or Rogue One, a Star Wars story, it's just kind of a film. I mean, it's nowhere near the highlight of cinema. It's not really the greatest form of storytelling I've ever seen. But I mean, it wasn't the worst film ever. It's far from the worst film ever. I've seen some shitty films before, but it's just kind of it's passable. But I mean, is that really, should a Star Wars movie be just kind of, passable? Well, I would have to say, well, yeah, because that's kind of how they've been for quite some time now, but well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're talking about Rogue One. How should I start this review off? Let's talk about the story. We're reading a book. So the story of Rogue One is basically this chick, Jyn Erso, and I guess more accurately, the guy who helped design the Death Star had a daughter. I forgot his name because he wasn't really all that relevant in the film. Had a daughter, Jyn Erso. She kind of grew up to become this rebellious asshole that just kind of did stuff. What she did was never really revealed in the film. She's just kind of nonchalant, kind of snarky bitch. Kind of. That's her character. There's not really much to her, which I'll get into in a second. So, the Rebel Alliance then needs to get some other black guy. I forgot his name, because it's not really like he had much character either. So Jyn Erso has to go talk to this one black guy, and it turns out that her father this entire time was actually against the Empire, and he actually made the weakness in the Death Star. He actually made the exhaust port and, connect to the fusion reactor so it could blow the whole thing up. So it turns out, we have this whole 2-hour-long movie explaining this small little plot detail in the original Star Wars that no one actually asked for. So that's the movie. Then the girl has to go get the plans and send it to the Rebel Alliance. And that's the movie. Why this movie is 2 hours long? Because there's a bunch of bullshit in it. I'm not gonna lie. The beginning of the movie is somewhat interesting. I have to admit. I thought it was interesting to find, these guys are looking for this technician, looking for people who tried to abandon the Empire. Seeing that the girl Jyn Erso, knew her dad and had to be raised by some rebel leader, that was interesting. Or at least it would have been interesting if the movie kind of like actually highlighted that part of her life. But it doesn't. It just kind of gloss overs it and just yeah. Which I thought was kind of sucky at the fact that the movie actually doesn't really highlight or pay much attention to any of the characters there. I mean, the characters are all just kind of plot devices used to get the plot from point A to point B, which kind of sucks because I think there's a lot of things that could have been done in the film to actually make these characters more impactful. Again, there's a whole bunch of fluff and bullshit in like the first and second act of the film. There's just a lot of not even talking, just fluff, just nothing that really contributes to the overall plot. I mean, in order to get to the point where Jyn Erso finds a hologram where her dad is like explaining that he purposely made the exhaust port in the Death Star, you had to get through, some, Italian, Spanish, French guy? I don't even know what his accent even was. You had to get to this one rebel guy who would just shoot his informant because he didn't want him to get caught. And then it just comes to find out he's an assassin who's trying to kill Jyn Erso's dad because, well, honestly, that plot point doesn't really make any sense, because why would you kill the guy now after he's finished constructing the Death Star? I mean, like, it would make sense, well, at least his role in the film would make sense if he was trying to kill Jyn Erso's dad before the Death Star was finished being completed. But if it's done, what the fuck would killing him accomplish? Like, that plot thread in the movie was there in order to create some kind of drama between him and Jyn Erso, because Jyn was trying to find her dad after all these years, but it doesn't make any sense. Again, why would you try to kill the guy if he already completed the... whatever. there's a lot of just bullshit in the first 2/3 of the movie. Now the ending of the movie, that was fantastic stuff right there. That was awesome. And I'm gonna have to say this: the ending of Rogue One was beautiful. It was amazing in a lot of different ways. The final battle, well, the first battle technically of the Rebel Alliance against the Empire was entertaining to watch. But more important than that, I thought it was completely beautiful and interesting and great that all the characters died in the end. Now that sounds really morbid, that sounds terrible, but no, seriously, it adds some kind of depth to their character. It actually makes what they did kind of impactful because they sacrificed their lives for the greater good of something. Now this all would have been even more amazing if the first two halves of the film actually focused on building interesting characters that you cared about when they died, but they didn't. So the ending was good. And I honestly can't really, I know that the whole story part of this review is really short, but it's really short because, well, there's nothing to say. It's long, it's drawn out, characters aren't even expounded, aren't even chatted about. I mean, there's a couple of action scenes here and there that are pretty cool, but as far as the actual characters and story plot development goes, it just kind of goes like this. You meet Jyn Erso. The Rebel Alliance are going to use her so they can go assassinate some black guy who ends up being killed by the testing of the Death Star. So why was he even in the film? I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea why he was there. Jyn finally does find her dad, but her dad gets killed in the crossfire between the rebels fighting the Empire. Why was that a plot thread in the film if it didn't really build up to any emotional impact or had any impact on the rest of the fucking film? I don't know why that was there, but that was long and drawn out. Having the one mercenary guy about to kill Jyn Erso's dad, but not kill him, even though at this point there would be no purpose in killing him at all anyway. I don't know why that was. Okay, I know why that was there. It was there to create emotional and dramatic tension between Jyn and the mercenary guy, but again, the thread makes no damn sense, as I said consistently. And then what happens is Jyn then goes back to the rebels and like, hey guys, we have to, use hope in this and hope that. Let's go get the plans from my father and hope some more. They threw the word hope around a lot. I'm just saying. And then Jyn and Rogue One go off. They weren't scheduled. This was a covert act, or at least supposed to be a covert act. And then a couple of random rebels are like, yeah, let's throw our lives away because we have no fucking value. Families, children, whatever. Let's just go and then they just go and then they get the rebel plans and that's the movie. And again, I explained that in less than 5 minutes, but the movie took 2 hours to go through, and I can't talk much about the film because it's not memorable. Nothing really. Okay, again, there are some exciting action scenes, but as far as the plot goes, it's pretty simple and non-existent, and sometimes inconsistent. It doesn't even make any sense. Like at one point, which I thought was interesting, was you get like this one monk Jedi guy. He's not even a Jedi. He's just a monk. He just kind of comes out of nowhere. Why does he help Jyn out? Because. And then he has his one mercenary friend with the plasma rifle. Why does he help Jyn out? I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the plot doesn't even connect with itself. Like, this one Chinese monk guy who's badass and cool, I mean, he's awesome and everything, but why does he do what is his motivation for anything? Because, I guess because it was boring. It was boring staying at this temple filled with a bunch of crystals that power Jedi lightsabers, so he's like, let's just go have an adventure and just do stuff. I guess. Like, the characters have no motivation. I guess that's the second part of the review. The characters, or lack thereof. Now, I know some people, I myself had a sneaking suspicion that Jyn Erso was going to be a Mary Sue. That she was going to be a superwoman that just kind of curb stomps everything. And sure, those elements are kind of there, but not really. Because she's not really even much of a character. One of my biggest gripes about Rogue One is the complete lack of character depth in this fucking film. And it is sad because there was so much that could have been done. I mean, considering the fact that all the characters die in the end, wouldn't it have made some kind of sense to make the audience give a damn? I mean, the only character I really felt an emotional connection to was the one monk Jedi guy, and that's because he was interesting. I mean, shit, he should have been the main character of the film because at least he was interesting. At least he did stuff. I mean, at least you care. At least he had an individual that did care about him. His one mercenary friend. I mean, they were there. But I mean, I cared somewhat. I mean, the rest of these guys, it would have been awesome or amazing if you had a film with a group of ragtag guys who have to come together to take down the Empire and end up losing all their lives, you know, all one by one, doing their jobs in a really great way, you know, sacrificing themselves for the greater good of society. You know, that would have given the ending more weight than what it already had. But no, we just got a bunch of flat characters that just did stuff because of reasons. Which leads me to Jin Erso. She and Mary Sue, not at all. She's hardly even a character to begin with. Like, I'll start with actress portrayal. I don't know this actress. I don't know what she's been in or how many movies she's done or TV shows, but she's not really good at that whole acting thing. Or maybe, not just maybe, it was just like the creative art direction. Maybe it's entirely possible that the director of the film was like, hey, do not like ever change your facial expression, like ever. Don't like inflect on words because that's like what normal people do and you're not a normal person. You don't show emotions. That's not a thing. That's not a thing that people do. Don't feel stuff. Feeling stuff is what normal human beings do and you're not normal. Maybe that's the art direction he wanted to go in because like literally through most of the film, the girl's facial expression, no matter the situation, never changed at all. Like there was no emotional impact on her at all. There was even one scene that was just incredibly painful to watch, where she's watching the hologram of her dad talk, and what happens? She's supposed to like start crying, and she doesn't even start crying. She just twists her face up a little bit, and then immediately after that, she's just off dancing, running away. Her facial expression never fucking changes. So again, I don't know if she's a bad actress. I don't, but I just know that her performance was terrible. She was a terrible character. It had a complete lack of depth. Even in terms of exposition, which I thought was terrible. When she finally meets the Black Rebel guy, there's another painful scene. It's actually the same scene, just earlier in it. You know, where like instead of showing the relationship between the girl and the black guy, because the black guy apparently raised her because he found her like in this hole, she just literally explains, hey, you raised me and you know you left me here when I was 16. Why they felt the need to blast us with that exposition instead of showing us that that's what happened is astounding to me. Like, it's really astounding because, again, earlier in the movie, there's a flashback. Like, Jin is in jail. Like, the rebels actually have to break her out of jail. So she's in jail because, whatever fucking reason, she's just there because the plot demanded it. Where she, like, literally, like, she's sleeping, she wakes up. But before she wakes up, there's a flashback of her in the field with her dad. And then she's in the little rock hole thing, you know, the little bunker her dad made for her, just for this, apparently that situation. And then the black guy finds her. And then she wakes up and the movie continues. Now, the thing that's interesting about that was the beginning of the fucking movie. The movie began with us seeing her dad get captured by the Empire and seeing her hide in the bunker getting found by the black guy. Why the fuck did the movie feel the need to flashback back to some shit we saw 5 minutes ago? Why didn't they use that time to flash back to her life, like growing up with the black guy? Like showing us all of the different things she was doing that got her in jail? Because honestly, I can't tell you why she was there. She's just some shit. She's just some asshole. I don't understand why. I don't know what got her to this point that made her such a shitty, you know, narcissist, not even narcissistic, but nihilistic asshole. But that's her. That's her character, I guess. Okay, that's her persona, certainly, but character, depth, motivation, I can't tell you any of that. She just kind of did it because the plot demanded it. And that was terrible. I mean, this is supposed to be our main character here. We're supposed to care. We're supposed to give a damn. And honestly, I can't tell you that I gave much of a damn about her. Again, I cared more about the one Chinese monk guy because at least he was interesting. You know, at least he did something. I mean, so the character Jin Erso was probably one of the most disappointing things I could have found because there were like 150 things you could have done to make the character more interesting. Like, here's one thing that I was thinking about the other day, right? Right, so you had the one the one Empire pilot who defected and, like, you know, gave the plans or told the people that this was like a thing, that there's a weakness to the Death Star. And then he was a great actor. He was phenomenal. I don't, again, well, he should have been the main character. Just like think about that one for a second. Why did he betray the Empire? He just because the plot demanded it. That's why. But he was awesome. He was cool. He was interesting. But anyway, I was just thinking, so apparently this one rebel, I'm not rebel. Well, he turned to a rebel. The one Empire pilot, turned his back on the Empire to help them all out, and he was friends with Jyn Erso's dad. Like he knew him on some level. What level was that? I don't know. The movie doesn't explain. He just kind of, yeah. But he knew him on some level. But I was sitting here thinking like this. This would have actually made some kind of sense in terms of character depth and motivation. At least that's how I feel. Would have made or given Jyn some kind of character development. I thought would have been great, like an arc. Because I realized that there's like no arc for any of the characters in the film. So let's just focus on Jyn Erso because he's like the main character. So I was sitting through the hour and 30-minute long fluff we got in the film. At one point, the Jyn like asked the guy what was her dad like growing up. She didn't get a chance to really know him all that well because she was only like 5, right? So she's just talking to the guy. They're just having a heart-to-heart for a second. And the Empire, the Empire pilot, and he just sits there and he's like, your dad used to say, talk about you a lot. Just he had so many different hopes and expectations, for you. Sometimes he would say maybe you would, become a pilot or something. Maybe you'd be a pod racer or something. He used to joke about that. Maybe even a chef. A chef who cooks, things for people. Something interesting. Maybe he thought, you would just go on to be an adventurer like him, and you would go on to save the universe or something. And he just goes on and on talking about all these high hopes her dad had for her. Now Jyn is sitting here listening to this guy talk about her dad, talking about how her dad had these hopes for her, and she feels like shit because she hasn't done anything with her life. She's just some rebellious little girl running around doing, whatever she was doing. And she realizes she's accomplished nothing in her life. Her dad had all these expectations for her, and she did nothing. Nothing at all. And that is why she joins the rebellion. That is why she seeks out her fall. That is why she goes from this little shit, who's just kind of a snarky asshole who doesn't care about anything, to trying to get these plans for the rebels. Because she wants to show her dad that she has done something with her life. That's a fucking movie. That's a character. And I came up with that in like 30 seconds. And I didn't even take anything that wasn't, I didn't even make anything that wasn't already there in the movie. I just used the plot threads that were already established and just enhanced them. That could have been, you could have done that. Like you could have done that. It just only took like 5 minutes. They just have a scene where they just kind of like talk to each other. Like where they kind of emote. Like where you start to care about them or something. But no. But no, you couldn't have that because of reasons. So, there you go. The plot thread of Rogue One was next to non-existent. I mean, no one asked for this prequel. No one asked for Star Wars 3.5. But I mean, at least they could have done something interesting. They could have given Jyn some kind of an arc. I mean, they could have given her something to do other than be there. Because honestly, I can't really tell you why any of the rebels did anything that they did. There's like no motivation. I guess the movie just kind of wants you to assume that people are just inherently good and they just want to do good things. But that kind of spits in the face, and what I mean when I say it's inconsistent, because the film showed that Jyn is not an inherently good person and she's kind of shitty. So why would you assume that she would just automatically heel turn to help people out is astounding to me. But the movie did that, so that's a thing. But yeah, that's my review of Rogue One. Overall, it was an okay film. It could have been a lot better. The fluff that happened in the film could have been filled with like character development, stories from the characters' lives, motivations, explanations as to why they feel a need to do anything that they're doing. That would have certainly enhanced the movie. I could have turned a mediocre kind of film into a fantastic film. I mean, imagine that. Imagine it's the story of a young lady trying to make her father proud after she failed him by not doing anything. That could be interesting. Seeing how she struggles with trying to accomplish something when she did nothing with her life. That's a character. That's an arc. That's something. And in the end, when she gets the rebel plan to the base, or I mean, when she gets the Death Star plan to the rebel base, she can die knowing, hey, Father, not only did I do what you asked, but I ended up helping a lot of people. I have done something with my life, and her character arc would have come full circle. It would have been great. But no, instead we just get, a bunch of fluff and a fantastic ending scene. So the ending was great. I thought it was great. I really did. But It would have been more impactful if the movie really focused on the sacrifices of Rogue One, instead of kind of ending on Darth Vader. I know another reviewer ended up saying that the film ending on Darth Vader and Princess Leia kind of subtracts or takes a little bit away from the sacrifice of Rogue One. I would say it most absolutely does. I mean, fan service is cool and everything, but when you take the film, which focuses on the heroic sacrifices of all these people, and it shoots this amazing badass scene of the main bad guy, it's kind of a little jarring, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I enjoyed the scene for what it was, but in terms of the consistency of the movie, they don't really match up, do they? Heroic sacrifice of these rebels who gave their lives in order to help the resistance. Darth Vader comes out and slays everyone like a fucking badass. I mean, who are you supposed to be rooting for here? I don't know. I'm just saying. The ending was great, but the rest of the film could have been a lot better. And I think it sucks. It really could have been a lot better. So, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, you can go ahead and click the like button. You can click the subscribe button. You can comment in the comment box below. But most importantly, you guys have yourselves a great day. Adios.